Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome. My name is Professor Tim Campbell. I'm going to be presenting this webinar tonight about the University of Northampton's MBA program. So, as I say, welcome to you all, wherever you're joining this. What I plan to do is just spend about 15 minutes when I'm going to just give you some, just a presentation about some key points about the Northampton MBA program and this particular intake that we have here based in the Middle East, although it draws students from wider around than just that. But I'm going to present key issues about the program itself, and it's a program I teach on, so I know it quite well, and I look after this intake locally as well. So from an academic point of view, and I'll be able to hopefully give you some insights that you wouldn't get otherwise. So a quick presentation, 15 minutes, and then once I've done that, I'll hand over and you can ask me any questions that you want. So before we talk about the University of Northampton and the MBA program, just a word about Stafford, because it's important that you understand where Stafford fits in with this. And that's why you would be here tonight, attending this webinar through the great efforts of the good people at Stafford. So Stafford is the very first provider of distance learning education in the Middle East 27 years ago now. And I'm sure you've all had a look at the website, and you'll see that it's the resource centre for five British UK universities, and has programs all the way from certificates all the way up to doctorates. And the role of Stafford is to offer marketing, recruitment, administration, and student support services locally to help the partner universities. Because, of course, I'm here based in the United Arab Emirates, and this is where, in the Middle East, is where we run this intake from. And recruiting and marketing and administering this intake is much more difficult if you're on campus in the UK. So that's where the university asked Stafford to help out with that. But what you need to remember is that you're entirely a student of the university. The degree is awarded by the University of Northampton. You're taught by the University of Northampton tutors. You are bound to their policies and procedures and everything else. So it's just important to understand the distinction. You are, when you enroll, entirely a student of the university. So let's get on to Northampton. Where is it firstly? Well, on my map, I've just given a big arrow there where I've shown you where Northampton is, where the town of Northampton. It's about 100 kilometres north of London. Takes about an hour in the train. And it's an old historic town that's been around for an awfully long time. And of course, at Northampton, you will find the University of Northampton. And it used to be just on the outside of the town, of the city, but it's now right in the middle because they built an entirely new campus that opened about 2 years ago now, which is all within those dotted lines that I've shown you, right in the middle of town now. So it's a fantastic, really is a fantastic investment and an incredible campus with all of the latest technologies, and including blended learning and learning technologies and all of this type of thing. So that's where the university is. Very briefly about it, because you can have a look at the university's website and you'll find all sorts of further information, but I've just picked out a couple of things, if you like. And the first is that education in Northampton dates back an awfully long time, back to the 13th century, but the modern university's origins date back about 100 years, to about the 1920s, when it's developed and changed over the years to where it is now, with about 14,000 students and about 1,500 staff, around thereabouts. And I just picked one other thing that's important as well, because when you look at rankings of universities, there's only two that are actually done by the UK government, or by bodies associated with the UK government. And that's the Research Excellence Framework and the Teaching Excellence Framework. So these are official rankings, if you like, the ones that the universities in the UK need to do. And in terms of teaching, and the MBA program is a taught course, the university has been awarded the gold, which is the highest you can get. University either get gold, silver, or bronze. So it's very well known for its fantastic teaching. Right, let's get on to that MBA program itself then. Let's have a look see what it looks like. here we are. So the MBA program, you'll see there's 8 modules in total. And you basically make your way from the start, which is critical issues in business, which also includes a lot of introduction material as well, introduction to the program and academic skills and all of these types of things as well. You start there, you make your way around the 8 modules, and then you finish with the business research project, which some of you will know as a dissertation. And you'll see from the modules, it's a nice mix of a traditional MBA program, which is one that teaches you the different functions of business and management, such as finance and accounting, such as human resource management, which is in with managing an organizational behavior, such as marketing, etc. But also includes some of these new contemporary issues we deal with, such as leadership and innovation, and critical issues, looks at risk and all sorts, and social responsibility and all sorts of other things as well. And how we teach it, it takes 18 months from one end to the other in total for your program. And as you'll see from the last slide, there are 8 modules, so there's 8 workshops. Now, these workshops are, I put here, they're held over a weekend and 2 days, on a Friday and Saturday. They used to be held in person. Tutors from the university would fly to the United Arab Emirates and take these 2-day workshops. Of course, because of the situation we're all at the moment, we haven't been able to do that for about a year now. So the workshops are still exactly the same, but they're delivered using a virtual classroom. So it's still the same lectures, it's still the same activities, it's still the same everything. You'll still see your tutor teaching just like I'm doing to you, like I am tonight, although the university uses a virtual learning environment that's dedicated to teaching. So it has a lot more features than most normal sort of webinar software will have. But it's exactly the same. You see the tutor, he'll break you into groups, you'll do activities. It's the only change is it's done virtually. The materials are the same and everything. And of course, you'll be doing these classes from your home or your work or wherever you're listening to now, wherever you choose. So we still teach it in the same way. We do those 2-day workshops, and then about 8 to 10 weeks later, you do your next module. And what you do after those workshops, you'll be using the university's virtual learning environment to be working on the assignments. You hand them in before your next module, and then you start your next module. And then you carry on like that till you're finished. You'll see on my slide here that the next intake is soon. It's incredible, it's the 26th intake. And we have 3 intakes a year, so that means the program's been going for a long time now, 9 years, something like that. And the next intake, the first workshop, is the end of February, 26th and 27th. But of course, you need to get those applications in now if you're going to make the start of the course. So that's how it's taught. And what actually happens in these virtual workshops? I'm often asked this question. So it depends on the tutor and what the subject is. Finance obviously is probably be a bit different than the module I do, management and organizational behavior, but there are similarities. We'll do things like this. We'll introduce the key concepts. We'll use short case studies, exercises, business games. We'll demonstrate where you find the resources. The university has an incredible online library. It's all accessed electronically, where you'll find everything you need. And then importantly, in those workshops, your tutor is going to tell you how to successfully complete those assignments. And the student satisfaction with the workshops is great. They really do enjoy those live face-to-face sessions. Assessment. So all modules are assessed through some form of an assignment. So it might be an essay, it might be a report, it might be looking at a case study, it could even be a short quiz or something. But there are no exams on the program themselves. That's because the university likes to use assignments so you have time to think about what you're writing and access resources, whereas exams can be a bit more about just how much you can remember. So that's why that's sort of the idea behind using the assignments rather than exams. And then the business research project, which is that big project you do at the end, like a dissertation, that's about 15,000 words, and you will have a supervisor from the university who will supervise you through that process. The entry requirements are fairly standard for an MBA program. Usually you'd have a bachelor's degree and at least 2 years of relevant work experience. But if you don't have a bachelor's, if you have 5 years or more work experience, then you can get onto the program. And when I say relevant work experience, it doesn't mean that you have the title manager in your title. Many times these days that title simply isn't used as much as it used to be. We can often use things like team leaders and other titles such as that these days. So relevant means that you can just demonstrate managerial responsibilities. So in your job role, are you involved with planning work and organizing, leading some people, controlling the work that's being done, these types of things. I'm sure almost all of you will find that you do have these responsibilities. Lots and lots of support. There's the University of Northampton's program leader who oversees the program wherever it's taught around the world, whether it's on campus or whether it's our intake here. We also have the local program leader, and that's the role that I take. I teach the managing and organizational behavior module, but I also oversee the running of the whole program. Every module has an expert tutor from the university. There's administration with the university itself, and then locally we can also help out if you can't find the right person or not sure where to contact. The virtual and learning environment that the university uses is called Northampton Integrated Learning Environment, or NILE, and it's it's a very good system. Every module has one of these sites. So for example, on my site, everything you need will be in this NILE site, in this virtual learning environment. There I'll post lecture slides, I'll post readings. You'll be able to access the university's library through it. You'll be able to access the university's academic skills support. You submit your assignments, you get your assignments back. You can talk to your tutors. All of these things are contained within this one site, and every module has one of these sites. And that's also where the virtual classroom is as well. When you go into the site, you click the button to the virtual classroom. When it's the workshop, you'll be there in the classroom. And I mentioned the online library. It has millions of resources, and I mean that quite literally. It's no exaggeration. Millions of resources that can be accessed that you can use to do your assignments, and there'll be more than you ever need in there, and your ebooks and everything like that. So just a few words from me about sort of why the Northampton MBA. I think firstly, a very competitive price. Remember, it's not officially an online program. The workshops are being taught virtually at the moment through necessity, but it is in fact a part-time program. So you are seeing your tutors face-to-face through the virtual classroom. So for this type of delivery, it is a very competitive price. And have a look at the Stafford website for the latest price, because it can vary between intakes. So just to make sure you got the most up-to-date one. And also why this MBA program, and I've taught over the years on certainly more than 10 different MBA programs for various UK universities and around the world. And why I particularly like this MBA program is firstly, the duration's about right, 18 months. It's designed for working people, so everybody on the program will be balancing work and study, but that duration is about right. If it's too much longer, people tend to lose motivation. If it's shorter, the workload seems to become just a bit too much. So I think that's about right. And then I think there's a lot of support for you. There's some great teaching, and the assessment all fits nicely with the MBA program. And just what I put here, it also strongly emphasizes vocational learning, practical stuff, job learning, as well as the theories. And this is attractive to employers who are more interested in practical knowledge, and also makes studying for the MBA more enjoyable and relevant to the students. So again, what I'm saying about this MBA is it's not overly theoretical. It's more focused towards the practical side. You'll learn things that actually change your management practice on a day-to-day basis. There we go. I think that's done perfect. I'm just looking at my clock, and I did that in exactly 15 minutes. I think that's a record for me. I think I'm absolutely right on time. So as I say, these are just my insights into the university's program. Now's your chance to ask any questions you have, and the easiest way to do that is to use that chat box there, and I can have a look and see your questions, and I'm going to have a look right now. Sorry, not the chat box, the question box. Okay, let me just bring it off so I can see them. Okay, so I've got some questions here. Let me take the first one. So I've completed an MBA from another university. Can I get exemptions? Hang on, let me just see that full question. Here we are. Right, I can see the full question. I've completed an MBA from another university. Can I get exemptions, or do you provide credits for a postgraduate diploma? Okay, if you say you've completed an MBA from another university, that means you've got your MBA. You can't use those credits for anything else. But what you probably mean is if you've done part of an MBA somewhere else, then you may be able to get exemptions on our program if what you've done maps to the Northampton program. So for example, if you did finance and accounting and it maps to our finance module, then you can get exemptions. And I've also put here, do you provide credits for a postgraduate diploma? Yes, you can. If you've done a postgraduate diploma somewhere in business or management, you will be eligible to go straight to the MBA top-up. And that means you only need to do the business research project and the critical issues module. And that's for people who have already done a postgraduate diploma somewhere else. So please ask your consultant at Stafford, who'll be able to fully advise you about that. Next question from Majid. I've noticed that there are workshops that are virtual. Do these get recorded? Yes, they do, and that's very important. All of the workshops are recorded. So you go into the virtual classroom, but if you can't make a session for some reason, the recording will be there on that Nile site that I talked about. You just click it and you'll be able to see the full recording of what was done. I've looked at the university website and the modules offered via Stafford differ than those on the website. Yes, they do. At the university, on the on-campus programs, they do have different options modules. But on campus, they have hundreds of MBA students, so it's more so they're able to offer different programs because they have the student numbers to be able to warrant that. We don't. So what we've done is picked what we think are the most important modules for the MBA program and constructed a really, really good program, I think, with the key modules that you need. Next question, doing the level 7 postgraduate diploma from ATHE. Yes, once this course has been complete, can I directly get to complete my MBA and only need to cover 60 credits more? That's correct. Yeah, if you've done a level 7 postgraduate diploma in management from ATHE, or there are various other qualifications that are accepted as well, you should just be able to go straight to that MBA top-up. But again, just check with your consultants at Stafford to make sure that's the case, but it certainly should be. Do you accept exemptions based on extensive managerial work experience? Not on work experience, we don't have exemptions, only for if you've academically done something equivalent. And the reason for that is you might have done marketing, for example, for 20 years, but I bet when you do the marketing module, you'll still probably learn something. So that managerial work experience is going to help you a lot in doing the assignments and help you a lot on the MBA program to contribute and understand all the concepts, but you will need to do the whole program because, as I say, you're bound to still learn something. Will the workshop cover the assignment topics? Absolutely. The workshops are very much focused on what you need to do to learn and then complete those assignments. The maximum time that you can complete the MBA, so it's designed to be done in 18 months, but if something happens and you need to take a suspension for health reasons perhaps, or something's happened and you need to take a break and start again, that option is certainly there. And you can take a break for up to a year. Now the maximum time that you must complete within 5 years, the whole thing within 5 years. Just on that, but my advice always is to stick to your timetable. Get it done in that 18 months if you can. Of course, if circumstances happen that you have no control over, then the option, of course, is there to stop and start again. But if you can, keep to your timetable. Let me have a look. Well, it's a long question, but a good one. I was going through a few websites to understand the university ranking. Northampton is not listed in QS Global Ranking or the Financial Times ranking list. What could be the reason? Let me deal with that one first, and then because then you've got another little bit there at the end. The rankings is now, university rankings is now an industry. It's done by private bodies, usually by newspapers or private bodies such as QS, who will come in and rank a university on, and it can be any sort of criteria. So you might look at one ranking and a university is much higher or lower than it is on another ranking because they use different criteria to do that. Now, there is some benefit in these rankings. They're greatly critiqued because, you know, these are done by people that aren't involved in the university sector. They're done by, as I say, newspapers and private bodies themselves in order to sell their own publications. So there's a great deal of criticism about it, but they can help your decision-making criteria. But no, Northampton doesn't, but the universities themselves, they don't have to enter into these rankings, or they may not have enough, there's other criteria that they may not meet to be able to actually enter into these rankings anyway. But I know Northampton doesn't enter itself into the QS or the Financial Times lists. But what I mentioned at the start, there's only two rankings you really need to think about. They're the ones that are done by the UK government, the Research Excellence Framework and the Teaching Excellence Framework. Have a look for those rankings. They are the key things. And as I say, the most relevant to you guys, because you're doing a taught course, is the Teaching Excellence Framework. And then you've got another part here. Is the university accredited by AACSB or EQUIS, which for those of you who don't know, AACSB is an American body that accredits business schools. EQUIS is the European Quality Improvement Standard. That's a European thing that looks at business schools as well and accredits them. Again, they're private accreditations, and universities can choose to do them or not. Northampton hasn't chosen to take these accreditations. And there's all sorts of reasons that I won't get into for that. Because UK universities must be accredited by the government anyway. So they are legally to call themselves a university, they must be accredited by the UK government, and they are. Whether they want to do these other voluntary accreditations is up to the university, but the University of Northampton so far has not thought it necessary to do so. Good question, by the way. Well, that was a big one. And actually, I could talk about that for a long time, so I'll have to move on. Otherwise, I'll be here all night because it's an interesting area. When I graduate, can I get a visa to the UAE? No, there's. Remember, this is a. There's two parts. Firstly, it's a British university, so remember that. You know, you are getting a degree from a British university, not a UAE university. But if you had to, when we go back to face-to-face teaching, which hopefully we will at some stage, I don't know when, but if you went back to face-to-face teaching in the UAE and you needed a visa to visit the UAE, well, then you'd be able to get that. They're easy enough to get anyway. Can I revisit the session later? Is there a recording available? Sure is, and I'll make sure I tell the guys at Stafford that they'll send the recording to you or the link to you. And next question, is a one-year Northampton MBA considered equivalent to a two-year MBA program in the US and Canada? Now, I don't know much about the US and Canada MBA programs. My background is all in UK universities and British education. And in the UK, a one-year master's degree is a full-time degree. So you cannot be working at the same time. You would need to go to the campus, for example, and do a one-year MBA. You would need to study full-time. You would need to take a year off work to do it. A part-time MBA, of course, is longer. And the University of Northampton is a part-time degree, 18 months. Now, whether that's equivalent to a two-year MBA program in US or Canada, I think it's a difficult one to answer, really. I mean, equivalent for whom, I suppose, it would be. Do you mean employers? Or, you know, I think that's a fairly difficult question. What you'll be getting is a British MBA degree, and that will be recognized worldwide. How it compares to other countries, I'm afraid I don't really know. Right, Ali. Ali's talking about accreditations as well. Remember I said the University of Northampton is a completely British UK university and accredited by the UK government. Go onto the website gov.the UK, or in fact just Google it, look for recognised UK universities. You'll be directed to a UK government website and you'll find the University of Northampton there. But it doesn't go for these private accreditations such as the ones you've listed there. These are voluntary things that a school or university can do if they want to or they're not. And it's also because in the US accreditations are very important because almost anyone can set up a university. In the UK you can't. You need to be recognised. You need to have a royal charter. You need to be audited by the government every so often. Universities are legally protected. So these sorts of accreditation just aren't as relevant to UK universities as they are to the US ones. But that said, there is reasons that UK universities will voluntarily do these accreditations. But again, as I say, I'm getting into this whole area again. Let me get my last question. Does the degree carry any perks when applying for a job in the UK after graduating? Not really. I know what you're getting at here because there's, if you do a full-time course in the UK, if you're a full-time student, you go there and study at the University of Northampton on campus, then that gives you the right to stay there for a period longer and work. So that's probably what you mean. But because this is a part-time distance learning course, you don't get that same sort of visa as you would as that's only for the full-time students who study on campus. What you will get is a globally recognized British MBA degree. And that's going to be great for your employers. It's going to be great if you're going to other countries. It's going to be you know, one of the best decisions you ever made, I'm sure. It was when I did my MBA many, many years ago. I certainly got the most out of it, and I have done ever since. All right, thanks everybody for those questions. There were some really interesting ones there. If you have anything else you want to ask me, here's my email address, and then you can just email me directly. And then if there's anything that comes to you after this webinar or anything you want me to explain further, then please do. You're absolutely welcome to, and that's what I'm here for. It just, so all I've got left to say is thanks for listening. I really hope I'm going to see you on the program where I will do the induction and where you will also see me teaching you on the management and organizational behavior module, and that means I can get to know you a whole lot better anyway. So thanks everyone for listening. Bye for now. Any questions, just let me know. Bye bye.